Surabaya in April 1969. Surabaya has a population of more than 1 million and is Indonesia's second city. But although the electric trams have been banished from the streets, the East Java steam tram, the last urban steam tram in the world, still fights its way through the traffic. Indonesia was a Dutch colony until after the Second World War, and it was developed in many places by the building of steam roadside tramways, all of which were swept into the national railway system by the Japanese when they took over the island in 1941. The gauge is the same 3 feet 6 inches as in Japan, and the Japanese were responsible for the impressive number plates on the locomotives: B for 2 axles, class number 12, locomotive number 13. All very logical, but untypical of disordered modern Indonesia. Pushes its way through the crowded market area, and despite all appearances, it is running on double track. Everybody knows that nowadays there is only one engine in steam, and space in the market is so precious that the lightweight stalls are lifted bodily from one track to the other as a train approaches. Tram station Pasar Kupang, on a long and impressive section of reserved track in the median of a divided highway built only in 1916. The electric trams, opened in 1923 and closed in the mid-50s, followed a different route, but converged on the same suburban terminus at Wanacromo, which is about 7 kilometers, 4.5 miles, from town. There were 4 parallel tracks here, 2 electric and 2 steam, and the sad, rusting remains of the electric lines can be seen in the foreground as the steam tram, that unbelievable survival, trundles triumphantly past. Arrived at Wanacromo, the engine goes off to fill up with the appalling mixture of soft coal and dirt, which by some miracle produces enough heat to haul the train back to town. Number 13 has no works plate, but was probably built by Bear Peacock in 1900. Only one half of Wanacromo's impressive station is occupied by the steam tram. The other side of the island platform was used by the electric. The standard locomotive, a diesel hydraulic built by Krupp, is here seen in the streets of Solo, with a train from Baturetno on the 3 feet 6 inch gauge line which used to belong to the Netherlands Indies Railway. Still hauled by steam, an 060 built by Hartmann in 1899, complete with tramway skirt and bell and pushing a spare water tank. The train runs for only 5 or 6 kilometers through the streets, but makes 8 intermediate stops. There's always room in the cab or on the tank if it gets too crowded inside. Eventually the train reaches the edge of the built-up area and trundles off into Although the rural main line of the East Java steam tram has been closed for a number of years, the trams still run beyond the city limits of Surabaya on a typical Dutch rural roadside line to a terminus at Karang, about 15 kilometers or so from town. The impressive overall roof planted at the side of the road on the outskirts of the village is almost devoid of passengers, as number 42, built by Bayer Peacock in 1905, does some complicated shunting to leave one of the train's 3 coaches behind. Indonesia is the sort of leisurely, unconcerned country where jobs such as this continue through sheer habit.